but I was on very early though, so.
I tried, again, not making excuses. I think it's time I get a new computer.
There you go.
I lasted as long as humanly possible.
Hey, John, give me a call.
live.
I'll go to the Dell website. I do still get a discount.
I don't use Mac, buddy.
Okay.
But-
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 8:04 a.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Housing Opportunity Partnership Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southborough's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting or participate may do so in the following manner: www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have a guest this morning, and I want to get this meeting rolling to be considerate to her. Debbie Hope, who is the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity from Worcester, is with us this morning to kind of give us an understanding of what it is that Habitat does, because I was hoping in the very near future we would be able to work with them on a project to help a family, maybe more than one family. So Debbie, I'm going to hand over the meeting to you and let you begin your presentation.
Okay, great. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me today. As Dorianne said, I'm Debbie Maruka Hoke. I'm with Local Habitat. I've been with our local affiliate since 2012 and in the executive director role now for 2.5 years. We've built 52 homes in our area. We cover 42 cities and towns in the south central Massachusetts area. We go down to the Connecticut border. Our northern border is Boylston, Mass. We go east as far as Natick and Wayland and west out to the Brookfields. So that little chunk of Massachusetts is the area that we cover. Within that area, we build homes, we do rehabilitations and repairs. And we also operate 2 retail outlets where we accept donations. We're open to the public and we sell these items as part of a sustainable model to help us generate some of our own funds to keep the program going. So that's sort of a brief overview. We have worked with a number of housing trusts within the area, and this is a model that has become more and more successful over time. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I've got a PowerPoint presentation, which I will try to share, and I'm not sure if I get to see the same thing that you see, but let's see how this goes, and you can tell me if this is working well.
It's good so far.
Okay, so I don't get to see what you see. Hopefully we'll click through this and you can yell out if I start talking to something that doesn't make sense based on what's on the screen. So, just a basic overview. Our mission is simple. The overall mission is to eliminate poverty housing. It's a grand mission, but it is very simple. We would hope to eliminate poverty housing for all people everywhere. Our specific affiliate targets the 42 cities and towns that we cover. But we feel that decent housing is a basic human right and should be a matter of social conscience, that we should not allow anybody within our society or any society to not have that basic need met. The programs that we cover are our home builds, which is the primary one and the thing that Habitat is best known for. We are a Veterans Build affiliate, which means that we do target some of our homes specifically for veterans, also some of our rehabs, and we have a special program called Operation Playhouse, which is veteran targeted. The Operation Playhouse program is it's a fundraising program for Habitat where we partner with corporations. A corporate team will build a playhouse. We supply the kit and the supervision and the information for it, and then partner that corporation with a veteran family. So at the end of a build day, the playhouse gets presented to the family, typically with the children on site, and they get to go in and receive the playhouse and explore it. It's usually tailored specifically to the interests of the child, and it just offers a safe place, safe, comfortable place for the children of veteran families to play and to have in their own yards. So the playhouse goes home with the family at the end of that day. And it's a really popular, really fun program, although it does actually require that we bring people together. So that's been on hold for the past year.
That's awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that is like the coolest program. So sorry, thank you.
Have you participated?
No, I didn't even know you did that. That's why it's great.
It really is. We've got some really great videos on our YouTube channel that that show sort of a condensed timeline of the home build and then the playhouse build and then the delivery to a family. And it is so popular because it's a win in every direction. It's a really great program. So then,
Debbie,
I'm sorry.
could you just switch to like a presentation mode on your
Yes.
and thank you so much.
I realized I wasn't in a presentation mode.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. There we go. So our repair program is also one that has been put on hold due to COVID. We have not wanted to bring our staff or volunteers into people's homes where they are currently residing during the pandemic. So this is temporarily on hold, but normal times, the repair program, we have people reach out to Habitat. They need to be earning between 30 and 80% of the area median income to qualify. We do sort of critical home repairs, so things that impact the safety of the home or the ability for someone to live safely within the home. So we do ramps and railings to help people in. We've done a significant number of roof repairs. We've widened some doors, grab bars in bathrooms, that sort of a thing. And it's a great way to help people be able to stay safely and with dignity within their homes. And then that program is managed through, it's a small, a short-term, no interest loan that folks repay a portion of the cost of the repair, for their engagement within the program. Neighborhood revitalization is a longer-term partnership. So this is one that we have done with both the city of Worcester and the city of Marlborough. We've done projects like this where we engage over a longer period of time, and Habitat focuses on a number of properties within a particular area at the same time that other organizations and or city or town funds are engaging in that neighborhood. So it makes a broader impact. So for instance, we built a number of homes and also did a number of home repairs in the Union Hill neighborhood of the city of Worcester. Meanwhile, there was another CDC who was also doing home repairs, and the city was upgrading the paving on the streets. They redid sidewalks, added additional lighting. And so all of these things together really made a more powerful impact over the course of 3 years in this neighborhood than Habitat could have made alone or the city could have made alone. So that's what that program is about. And A Brush with Kindness is more of a short-term impact for a particular neighborhood that needs cleanup, minor exterior repairs. So we've done fences and park cleanup and trash pickup and retaining wall repair, spindles on porches, just sort of an exterior only, but bring in a large number of volunteers and make a big change in a small period of time. It's typically a 1 day or sometimes a 2 day program. excuse me, working with the local housing trust. As I said, this is something that we've really grown over the past several years. We have really strong relationships currently with the Housing Trust in Northborough and in Holliston. We talked a lot with Shrewsbury and Framingham and supported their initiatives to get their CPA initiative passed on the November ballot, and both of those were successful. So that's super exciting for us. We just started actually working with Sturbridge. We just closed on a property there within the last month. So we're kicking off that process. So typically the way that working with the Housing Trust works is that Habitat, because we work with the HCD a lot and we go through this process a lot, we're able to provide guidance and support on LIP and LAU projects. And we can partner with the Housing Trust and sort of help guide the way to navigate the regulatory aspects of that process. So the way that it works best is if within the Housing Trust, there is one person who really becomes the champion for the project. And then I have a very close working relationship with that one person throughout the duration of the project. We talk at least monthly to keep everybody up to date. And so then on the Housing Trust end, that champion is keeping the town administrator, the Board of Selectmen, the rest of the Housing Trust folks, CPC folks, if necessary, up to date on what's happening with the project so that everybody stays engaged and involved and aware of any delays that come up or any successes that are happening. We celebrate and we problem solve together. The way that projects get started within a housing trust is typically the housing trust evaluates town-owned land that may be available, either lots that are vacant lots that were allocated for a particular use and then not used, and so are sitting and waiting for a use, or sometimes properties that were taken for tax taking, or there's any of a variety of ways that the town comes to own parcels of land, and so working with the Housing Trust, we can discuss which parcels may potentially be viable for a home or for multiple homes. So we talk about the zoning and the plan, if there's a master plan for the town, but the goals of the town, whether the target is to increase the density of affordable housing. So if you want to put a duplex on a property, because that's going to allow two families to be housed in a home, or whether it's to fill out a particular area, you're infilling with properties, you've got some vacant spots and you want to get those spots to be usable and active in your housing inventory. So we talk through these options and identify a project that may work. This goes into a lot of detail, the slide, about basically the RFP process. So if the parcel that is discussed, if it's a property that is worth more than $50,000, then there is a legal requirement to go through a request for proposal process. And there are a lot of very specific requirements for this process. There are also, however, really solid templates that many other housing trusts have used for this process. And so we can absolutely help you to receive that working template. It's one that actually Habitat partnered with one of our housing trusts to create, and now several other towns have adopted because it does check all the boxes, it meets all the needs, and it's easily modifiable to accommodate specific properties and to work with a variety of towns. So the RFP is published. There's a minimum amount of time that needs to be published, and any developer is able to respond to it. However, since one of the requirements within the proposal is typically that it's going to be an affordable property, an affordable unit, there's the agreement really we're going into is that we're going to develop this property at a loss. And there's not a lot of takers for that, remarkably. Habitat tends to be the only one who says, yay, we'll take on this project. We know we're going to develop it. We're going to sell it for less than what we put into it. It does make it so that there's, typically not a lot of competition for doing it, but it is open and anyone can respond to it. Once that goes through and the property gets closed, the steps that happen next are the town typically wants the property to be counted on the subsidized housing inventory, right? Like this is the primary goal. We're trying to meet the needs of affordable housing. We want to get this unit on that inventory. So there is a process with the DHCD to fill out an application and include information about the property, the requirements with a single family home or even a duplex that doesn't require a state subsidy. That would qualify the project as an LAU, which is a local action unit. And a local action unit application has to come from the municipality. So, Habitat partners with the municipality. We typically draft and pull all the information together for you, submit it to you, and then the Board of Selectmen within the municipality sign it, and it gets submitted to DHCD. It includes the regulatory agreement and the deed rider, and the deed rider stays in perpetuity with the property and requires that property is designated as an affordable unit forever. So that, if the family who moves in decides to move out in 20 years and they're going to sell it, there is a restriction on the amount of the sale. It has to be sold for the same discount, essentially, adjusted for inflation, but for the same amount of the discount that this family received it for, so that it does stay as an affordable unit, which allows the family, if a family is living there, they should be able to gain equity in their home. They should, this is an investment. But they aren't able to flip it and, instantly make a lot of money off of the donation and the support from the town. That's not the goal, right? So the goal is to keep the unit as an affordable unit and to have that available for use in town as an affordable unit moving forward. So again, on the process, this is more on our construction process. So due to the nature of working with volunteers and working with the regulatory agencies, the projects are not fast. So, just to manage expectations, this isn't a thing where we would come in and expect within 3 months to have hammers swinging, right? It's typically working with a town. It is typically a 2-year process on average to go from identification of a property to the point where we actually have a building permit in hand and are able to move forward with a build. Once we start building, Habitat's build process is for a single family home, 12 to 15 months on average. That's just typically what we go through. The majority of the work is done by 1 to 2 Habitat staff members, and then the rest of the build is volunteers. We bring in contractors for things like the electrical and the plumbing, but the rest of the home is being built by groups of volunteers. It's a great opportunity to get community engagement. Folks are much more supportive of affordable housing when they were involved in the building of the housing, and especially when they're working side by side with the homeowners who are going to be in the house. And the real strong benefit of that is that the homeowners who will be living in this home are working to develop community relationships before they actually are ever even moving in. So they get to know their neighbors, they get to know the community. Frequently they're from within the community anyway, but at this particular property, there they are, and they're working on their home, and they're putting hours in. 400 to 500 hours is what Habitat requires of a family moving into a home. So they're actively engaged on this property and with the build for the during the process. Couple of examples of working with housing trusts. So in Holliston, the town owned land for 2 homes, and the CPA funds subsidized $75,000 per home, and they donated the land for the build, and then Habitat did the fundraising for the remainder of the build for both of those homes. We are currently involved in the renovation of it's a 150-year-old home, and it was full gut rehab. So essentially the bones were good and nothing else was. So, we took the whole thing down to studs, and we actually moved some of the interior walls, refinished the slab in the basement, changed the grade on the property. By the time we're done, the home will be, everything will be new except a couple of the original studs that are in the walls. But it's beautiful. It's nearly complete. We're really close. So we're pretty excited about that one. And then, as I said, we just closed on a property in Sturbridge, and this was a vacant lot. The town of Sturbridge approached Habitat. They were interested in having Habitat come and develop this into a home. So we are just kicking off that process. And the town, because they're really anxious to have, we did build one home in Sturbridge a number of years ago. They were really interested in having Habitat come back and do it again, and really invested in it. They actually are investing 50% of the total cost of the project. The town housing CPA funds have been allocated to support 50%. And then Habitat will fundraise for the other 50%. I am going to try to remember how to stop sharing my screen. Oh, there it is. And then just pull up, see if I can find the sample build. Can't find my picture. One second. Ah, I see. Can you see that?
Yep.
It should have a red bar across the top.
Yep.
Okay.
It's on the screen.
What's that?
It's on the screen.
Okay. All right, good. So here are a couple of samples of homes that we've built recently. So this first one, the huge white house, was a 200-year-old historic building in the center of Northborough that Habitat renovated into a duplex. It was a really interesting project. This home was really standing through sheer stubbornness. The posts in the basement weren't actually even touching the ground. They had rotted from the ground up. The main beams of the home were not attached to the outside walls. It was really interesting that this home was still standing, but the renovation came out beautifully, and our construction crew was able to incorporate some of the original beams. So you can see just little touches of it here and there. You get to see the original beams within the home, and it's beautiful. But the outside actually retained the look of the way that building had always looked. So it retained its historic value to the town. It was a fantastic, really exciting partnership. And we have 2 families living in there now. This next one, this tan house, is one of those built in Holliston that I was talking about on that two lot side-by-side area. So we built one home and then we transferred over and built the home next door to it. And this is a single family home. And actually this is one of the stories that makes you cry every time you tell it. So we had 2 homeowner families that were identified at the same time, and they were both waiting for their homes. And the family who was slated to move into one home first recognized that the second home wasn't going to be completed for 4 additional months. And that the second homeowner had actually lost her temporary housing and was homeless. And so she gave up her home that she was about to move into for the other homeowner family who she knew was in a more dire situation, and so that she would just wait. And so they swapped homes at the last minute, in order to accommodate a greater need, which was really, really amazing thing for her to have done. And then this third one is a duplex that we built in Auburn, and it was one of the situations where the town was hoping for more density. So it's a standard single family lot. It, has the look of all the other homes in the neighborhood with sort of that long front porch, but there are two families living there, and it blends really well with the neighborhood, and was another success story of working closely with the town of Auburn. So that was a lot of me talking. I'll stop sharing my screen again, and then there are questions I can answer or other things that you'd like to hear about. I can go into more detail about any of it.
This is probably a moot point because, the property's already been sold, but this would have been a perfect fit for probably the Fayetteville Hall. Did we look into that? Does anybody know? Fayetteville Hall is an old building that we have on Central Street in town that was sold for short money. And it had to keep the exterior facade looking old. It had a really bad septic. I don't know how good the bones were, as you were saying on some of it. Sounds like it kind of was like that when you did that, the walls are falling off. So moving forward, if we have any buildings in town that we're going to be disposing of, maybe we could reach out to them and have them looked at.
Didn't that fall through? Didn't the sale of that fall through?
I think the first time it did, I think it was sold the second time, but I'm not sure. If it didn't, then we
Was
should
sold.
absolutely look at, yeah,
It was-
I thought it was. It's going to be an
Yeah.
antique store or something now. But that would have, a decent sized building, could have been at least two families, maybe more.
If anyone has the address, I can check it right now.
Oh, we sold it.
It is sold.
It's like,
It is.
I was like 38 Central or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But the empty lot that, the other house that was on that we tore down to turn into a parking lot, is right now, it was 40, because I lived there. So,
Used to.
yeah, long time ago.